fine.
You can see that?
Yes.
Okay.
So I cut my microphone and it's your turn.
Okay. Okay. There
Evening
we go.
for you.
There's my logo. Can you see the logo? You can see the logo?
Yes, we see the logo.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Sorry for the delay. I'm a little new to Zoom. My name's Anthony Losquadro. I'm from Intaction. Intaction was founded in 2010 out of the strong concern that the American fee-for-service medical and insurance business, its trade associations and its lobbyists, what we call the medical industry complex, they were intent on escalating their promotion of infant circumcision in America. We've engaged in a variety of activities to raise awareness about circumcision. And one of the things I like about Intactivism, I call myself an Intactivist, maybe you do too, it's the challenges that it raises. It's how do I engage people on this topic and win them over? And doing this can be very satisfying. And the longer we do it, the more effective we become. And even though now we find ourselves in the middle of a pandemic, which limits our public activities, and it's also sucking all the oxygen out of the room of public conversation, there's still much we can do. Back in March, I decided I would focus our attention inwards because we can't do public events. And I commenced work on upgrading our website content and the performance of our site to increase search rankings. Now, that might sound boring, but it's really critical that Intactivist content rank competitively on Google. And I'm working with a team of experts on SEO to assist me with that. I also started a new project that will address Medicaid funding for circumcision. And in the States, Medicaid is health insurance for low-income people. And 17 states or 16 states have dropped funding for this, for covering circumcision, and we think that number should be a lot higher. There are 50 states, and we think we can achieve a lot of success on this. So I'm not ready to announce exactly what we are doing, but if you hit the subscription button on our website, you'll be the first to know. So everything I'm going to speak to is from a U.S. perspective. The dynamics here are probably very different from the European situation. For instance, I would assume most of the European medical community discourages circumcision, while in America, our healthcare system tends to encourage circumcision. In America, the public perception is circumcision is beneficial, where in Europe, it's the opposite. So we have some critical differences we need to appreciate, and this influences our strategies. I believe Intactivism is about 25% theory and strategy and 75% doing and getting things done. And the hardest part is figuring out how to get things done, how to execute, how to stay committed to that, and doing it with limited resources. By doing and executing, you quickly find out which strategies work and what don't work. The challenge for Intactivists is getting people's attention about a topic they prefer not to talk about. Let's be honest, the public is apathetic to genital cutting, particularly male circumcision. Why? The people affected, the guys, are often unwilling to acknowledge or speak out about the harm done to them. The parents don't want to revisit their decision to cut, and the doctors in the US are making money. Therefore, it's a challenge to get traction on the issue and get attention. And while there are so many other issues competing for the public's attention, just look at everything that's going on today, in the world, in the United States. So let me go to my next slide here. Intaction is the only Intactivist organization with a full-time mobile education truck, which not only displays our campaigns, but it transports our exhibits and our materials for the many public events we host. And Intaction's taken a marketing approach to inspire people on the benefits of the intact body so that they want it, even if they can't have it. and to make genital cutting the less desirable condition. And lately, we're using foreskin positive messages. Even if we were talking about circumcision harm, I always go circle back to the benefits of foreskin because I want people to want foreskin. Intaction has a video of my presentation on YouTube called Maximum Impact, a positive marketing approach for social advocacy, which I gave at the 15th International Symposium on Genital Autonomy and Children's Rights. Foreskin positive messages can be done in a fun and classy way if we just use some creativity. And what we found is that a large benefit of using foreskin positive messages is it reduces opposition. People don't feel threatened because you're giving them something. You're not taking it away. At our events, we use a number of exhibits and graphically attractive literature to engage the public. And this is some of the stuff that we do. We have a nice tent out, which is very eye-catching, and we have literature racks, so if people don't want to talk to us, sometimes they just want to take literature. We have a poster exhibit where people deals with the history of circumcision in America. These are all things that the public, if they don't want to talk to us directly, they can just read this stuff on their own. That's our tent, and that's some of our Intaction members. We sell T-shirts on normal times, not in pandemics. We were at a beach event on Long Island in New York, and people weren't scared to come up and talk to us. And being foreskin positive, it keeps everything on the positive side of people's attitudes. And we do have a genital cutting exhibit, an infant genital cutting exhibit. This is one of our most, gets the most amount of attention from people. It's engaging because it's interactive because they can push the button and the baby starts crying during it's audio from an actual circumcision. So this is one of our most popular things. It's not foreskin positive, but it's very popular. And you can see this is a young group of people are up at the exhibit, engaging with it, taking pictures. And once we put that out, people come up to our truck. It's quite a thing to see. A big component of what we do is leveraging media coverage to gain wider attention. Obviously, it's an important thing to do. And this falls under public relations. And this is a TV appearance I did about 3 months ago. They call it public relations because you're building a relationship. And when you start a relationship, you state who you are, what you do, and why you do it. To communicate your messages, people need to find a way to relate to you. And when I'm acting as a spokesperson for Intaction, I have to be able to recite all of the facts and figures about genital cutting. But people also need to relate to me as a person and why I am on this mission. That's why TV, radio hosts, and their audiences, that's what they're interested in. And that's why I'm prominently featured on our website and in our videos. It's not about my personal glorification. It's about giving the public someone they can see and they can trust. Again, public communications and public relations is about who you are, what you do, and why you do it. So what else can we do to have a greater impact on raising awareness about genital cutting? Well, like I said, we can work on our websites and make sure we have engaging content and we keep it fresh with new content and writing content based on keywords that you want your site to rank on. We also can host podcasts to discuss the issues. And even if your podcast only gets 50 downloads, that's 50 followers you didn't have before. This is all great stuff we can work on, even in a pandemic. And something to understand about the Intactivist cause is realizing that people aren't going to come to us. We have to go to them. We have to find ways to make our cause interesting and relatable. And we have to engage and interact. We have to inspire them. So let me inspire you by going to our website and signing up so I can keep you updated on actions we are taking. I'll be having a big announcement in about 2 weeks about that project we're starting. It will be a first for the Intactivist movement, and not even a pandemic is slowing us down. So I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. I think that's the end of my slides, and I guess I'll take questions.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, I understood your way of doing things, and I would like to know what you are presenting in 2 weeks, but it isn't the moment right now. I've understood.
Yeah, it has to do with working on halting Medicaid funding for circumcision. Again, Medicaid is our health insurance for low-income families in the United States. So 16 or 17 states have dropped funding already for circumcision. We think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there, especially in the time of the budget crisis that many states and the U.S. government are both in. And we think we have a good opportunity to convince them that this is an area they could save money on and at the same time give better health outcomes for babies.
Okay. We have a comment from Jean-Christophe. Thank you for what you are doing in the States. It's very sad for us in Europe that we do not know how to help you in front of the huge challenge in the USA for newborns, a unique case in the world on such a scale.
I'm sorry, I raised my volume. I didn't quite hear the question. Could you just say it again?
No, it was more a comment than a question. Oh. He thanks you for what you are doing in the States, and comments that it's very sad for us in Europe that we don't know how to help you in front of the huge challenge you are facing in the USA for newborns, challenge for newborns, and that it's a unique case in the world on such a scale. Yeah,
well, thank you for your support. And the European community is a help to the U.S., especially when their doctor groups put out policy statements, like the one that they published in Pediatrics, stating that circumcision has, I don't know the exact quote, but no justifiable benefits for infants and that kind of a thing. So that statement is very powerful because I use that all the time. And sometimes that's the first thing I start off with. So I would thank the European community, especially their doctors, for that support.
I'd like to ask, sorry.
David?
I'd like to repeat what Anthony just said. It is used a lot by lots of intactivists. You'll find it on Twitter and on Facebook, many places, and so it's highly appreciated.
David, please.
Yes, I'd like to ask a question about the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The USA seems to be the only country that hasn't ratified it. And I think that's one area that you could concentrate on, because unlike other countries in the world, the US, children in the US don't seem to have rights. Is anything being done to press for the ratification of that? And I think that would help a great deal, because it would give you some tools to, I mean, just as an example, we've had cases in the UK, and we've gone to court, and the children are not identified because they are under the age of majority. Whereas in the US, and I think of the Chase Anonymous case, the poor kid was only 4, and his name was plastered all over the newspapers. And I just wondered, nobody seems to be mentioning the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. What action is being taken, if any?
None that I'm aware of. I'm not super familiar with that treaty, if you will. I'm sure trying to get it passed would have huge political opposition, because when you give rights to the child, you take them away from the parents, I would assume, and all the religious implications and everything that goes with that. That's probably the reason why they never ratified it. That's the case. But beyond that, I'm not that familiar with that treaty. So I don't know if I can comment on it further.
I think what you've just said, if they did ratify it, it would take the rights away from the parents and put them back to the child, which is why I think it would be a very important move to try and get this done.
I would agree. It'd be, I'm sure it would be beneficial. I don't even know how to go about starting on that, but be happy to collaborate with anybody that would be interested.
I have some more questions from Jean-Christophe. He asks, however, we can help you to demonstrate that circumcision is never necessary for children, because you will have this problem as in Europe after you have succeeded in putting an end to neonatal circumcision. And the second question is, do you have plans to prevent the circumcision of children, as it's the case in Europe, for medical or religious reasons, once you have stopped circumcising newborns?
We're always happy to collaborate with our European colleagues on any issues. That's part of why I'm here today. You know, we can definitely share ideas and share, you know, what works. I mean, you know, Richard Dunker, he invented the bloodstained suit, and they borrowed that over here in the States, and look how successful that's been. So I think we can share ideas and work together on this. Absolutely.
Okay, are there more questions? Welcome to Thomas Mooney, who came 2 minutes ago. If we don't have any, we have a question from Jason. Has there been a shift in the public perspective in the past years you have been involved? And when did you first get into activism in the US?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. And from when we first started to where we are today, I think there's been a significant public shift in American perspectives on circumcision. I find myself less and less of being in a position where I have to explain why circumcision is harmful. People seem to get they understand the pain and trauma a baby undergoes. They understand American doctors and hospitals have a profit motive. It's becoming less and less that we have to explain this. People already get it. When we do public events outside, people come up to us and they thank us for being out there. That you're doing a great job, keep doing it. They donate a little bit of money to us, whatever they can. And, you know, in the beginning, when we first started doing it, we were getting hostility and opposition. So what do you mean circumcision is wrong? Well, you know, and they'd get very excited and they want to debate us. And now they're like, yeah, we get this already. Oh, you're the foreskin guys. You're out here again. You know, so I think there has been a shift. And I mean, just look at, you know, we had a presidential candidate, Andrew Yang, who publicly stated he agrees with intactivists. Okay, that has never happened before in the history of this country. We have Joe Rogan, who's one of the largest podcasters. He just got a $100 million contract from Spotify. That's how valuable his content is. He's gone on the record many times saying circumcision is cutting baby dick. Okay, so if you can have celebrities and public officials stating this on the record and not fearing any backlash or consequences, I think that's a titanic shift from where we were 10 years ago.
John Atkinson is asking, the parental right is just a perceived right and not a right that is actually documented in law.
I think the court law, the case law is that parents generally have wide latitude on what they do to their children, unless, you know, the only time the courts have overruled that is when the life of the child was in jeopardy. So until there's another court ruling that changes that, and I don't think there will be, we may feel that way, and that may be true, you know, both ethically and morally, but in practice that's not the case. So I deal with the realities, I deal with what the realities are on the ground now, not what I hope them to be. And that's why we do a marketing approach We try to convince people our way is better. Foreskin has benefits that you would not want to deprive your child of. And this is a better way to do things. And generally speaking, parents want to do what's best for their child. So the choice is, unfortunately, in some ways, still with the parents on this, but we just need to convince them there's a better way of doing it.
I want to tell you one thing. We have a woman on board. He's here, Sophie Dallière. She's often arguing with how the foreskin is a benefit for the woman, and that's a very interesting approach.
Well, it benefits both partners. You know, the foreskin has what we call the 4 powers, and we call it the 4 powers because that's easy for people to understand. It provides pleasure, protection, lubrication, and connection. So the connection part is between you and your partner. So we hit those 4 points. They're easy for people to remember, and it's the major points of why you would want to keep foreskin, why nature put it on our bodies for a reason. What I say is that it's in our DNA. Nature intended us to have it. And generally, people want to be true to what their genetic heritage is. This is where we came from, and foreskin is a part of that.
Fine, and now we have a question, a question from John Atkinson, who wants to know how the truck is being changed to switch the billboards.
Oh, he heard about that. So I'm fabricating a interchangeable banner system on our truck, so we can swap out the billboards very quickly for new campaigns and events. So usually right now we primarily use Foreskin, a Girl Can Hope. If we want to be in a parade, and we can swap out a new graphic in there that's specific to that parade. Like for instance, in New York, we do the Mermaid Parade, which is a fun, artsy type parade. And our theme is Mermaids Protect Foreskin. So we have this giant mural that's done. Unfortunately, we couldn't use it this year because everything's been canceled. But for next year, it'll be ready. And the idea is I can swap out the campaigns very quickly. So that's a project we're working on right now. And it just makes us more effective. Instead of using the wrong, a campaign that's not optimum for a specific event.
Jean-Christophe is asking, how many members do you have in your organization? And is there a development or decrease over the last few years that reflects a change in public opinion?
How many members? We have several thousand. More importantly is we have a good donor base. So that's important. You need some money flowing in because to do all this stuff costs money. In terms of developments, I think it's similar to what I spoke about before. We've had a presidential candidate who said, I agree with Intactivists. I think they're right. We have Brendan Marotta's documentary which went on Netflix, American Circumcision. When Brendan said he was doing a movie, I said, yeah, that's great. But the problem is how many people are going to see it. I never could have envisioned that he would get it on Netflix. And that's a real groundbreaking, game-changing thing. So we have that movie. So I'm sure millions of people have seen his movie and what circumcision is about and all these issues that he raised. And again, we have people like Joe Rogan, one of the largest podcasters. His podcast gets hundreds of millions of views a month. He has more viewership than major cable news outlets like CNN. And he's sitting there saying, babies are dying. 117 babies die every year in America from circumcision. You're cutting baby dick. Why are we doing this? It's insanity. And, these are significant developments. And, so.
We will hear Brendan Marotta this evening.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Thank you for all this information, and go on. That's Jean-Christophe stating.
Okay.
I would propose that we make a break of 30 minutes, and then we have Intact Northern. So David can continue to have his tea, and other people perhaps need to eat something.
Kettle is already on, Guy.
So perfect. Thanks to all, and we see you later in 30 minutes.